Hi everyone, this is Astro. It's probably no secret that with the release of CS2, a new setting called NVIDIA Reflex has appeared in the game, designed to reduce system latency, and on paper it does the job pretty well, but in practice things are more complicated as always. In this video I will reveal the biggest mystery of the Pentagon and answer the question of why pro players play without this setting, at least some of them, because at first glance disabling it seems counterintuitive at least. Just so you know, we also do provide computer optimization services. We work with players such as Monacy, and additionally here's a list of other well-known professional players from our portfolio. So if you're tired of endless problems with your computer such as low FPS, high input lag, and you want a perfectly tuned system for your specific tasks, you can just create a ticket in our Discord or message me on Twitter. All the links of course will be in the description. So what is Reflex? All gamers, especially shooter fans, know perfectly well that the higher the frame rate, the easier it is to achieve high results during a gaming session. The player gets the ability to notice enemies earlier, aim more accurately, and react faster to changes in a gaming environment. But even when using very powerful high-end systems, microstutters and input lag will be noticeable in dynamic scenes. This is due to the way game engines work. They are designed in such a way that the processor prepares several frames ahead without waiting for graphics card to finish rendering the previous ones. As a result of such approach, the frame rate and smoothness improve because the graphics card always has work to do, but it causes extra latency when displaying frames on the screen. NVIDIA Reflex optimizes the work of the CPU and the GPU so that the game engine sends the command to the CPU to prepare a new frame just moments before the current frame is finished rendering by the graphics card. This eliminates the buildup of a long queue of frames waiting to be displayed and significantly reduces the display latency. This explanation of the technology comes from the Digital Trends portal. It is technically correct, but it doesn't consider the practical consequences of such a method of reducing the latency. When such technologies are released, people tend to focus more on positive effects and overlook the potential drawbacks. The problem with the Reflex is that it essentially nerfs your CPU, preventing it from sending finished frames as quickly as possible. To put it very simply, Reflex slows down the CPU to the level of the graphics card so that the finished frames do not accumulate in the rendering queue and are immediately sent to the GPU once they're ready. The issue is that the CPU load constantly changes depending on what's happening on the screen. Therefore, there will be situations when the CPU cannot send data to the GPU quickly enough, causing the GPU to idle while waiting for the data to arrive. Disabling Reflex fixes this problem by the brute force method. To avoid situations where the GPU is idle, the CPU simply prepares as many frames as it can and loads them into a kind of a frame buffer, a queue from which the GPU can immediately take the next frame without interrupting the rendering process. Pro players play without Reflex because it feels bad in the game, simply creating a sense of unusual and unpredictable spray and making it harder to get regular kills. This is because the interval at which frames appear on the screen due to the GPU idling while waiting for work constantly changes. Therefore, in most cases, it is better to disable this option. It is also worth noting that the type of game also matters. If we're talking about a game like Valorant, for example, it was initially designed with a focus on maximum performance and the competitive aspect. Well-written game code and skilled developers allow Reflex to work more effectively, so enabling Reflex in such cases might yield more positive results. CS2 on the other hand is the complete opposite. The game was originally developed with an emphasis on visuals and with a huge amount of carelessness. To support this claim, we can point to the Fidelity FX super resolution setting, which you probably have all seen before. It was present in the game at launch, but for some reason the developers added an outdated version from 2021. All modern games of this level already have more up-to-date versions of this technology and receive periodic updates, while at Valve, more than a year has passed since the release of CS2 and the FSR technology version still hasn't changed. After such an approach, it is not realistic to expect proper implementation of new technologies in games like CS2, so it is better to put the idea of enabling them on the back burner. Instead of artificially lowering latency with Reflex, it is better to lock the GPU frequencies at a fixed value and prevent it from going into power saving mode in scenarios where the CPU is the bottleneck. This will give you much more stability and control over the game. You can simply do this by setting maximum performance in the NVIDIA control panel and using a registry key to prevent dynamic frequency changes. You can find this registry key in our Discord channel under the tweaks section. All the links will be, of course, in the description. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.